Argentinian rally racer Kevin Banevids has just won the Dakar Rally for the second time for KTM. Now, what the Sahara Desert and the Dakar Rally have to do with me being here in the snow in Wales with these three, I have no idea. However, the whole Dakar thing inspired me. Dakar bikes have evolved over the years and turned into bikes like these. Take this BMW R1250 GS for instance. This is probably the great nephew of the original R80 that used to race in the Dakar back in the 80s. So what I wanted to do was bring these bikes here, a perfect place to come and ride them and have a little look and see how many of those Dakar routes have come through. Now you could argue KTM are the most successful manufacturer ever over in the Dakar, and we don't have a KTM. We don't have a Ducati V4 Multistrada S either. We don't have a Harley Davidson Pan America, but we have got these three. Now I'm Shakey Byrne. This is the Late Break Show. This is an episode of Byrne Out, and it's proudly supported by EBC Brakes. This is the BMW R1250 GS Adventure TE. This £19,990 bike plus £370 for this paint scheme is powered by a 1250cc Boxer twin engine with shift cam which produces 136 brake horsepower. Its 30-litre fuel tank will give you plenty of range, and its 6.5-inch TFT screen will give you all the mobile phone connectivity you need. The bike features adaptive LED headlights, 6 riding modes, hill start control, heated seats and grips, gear shift assist pro with a quick shifter and a blipper, cruise control, lean angle sensitive traction control. It's BMW's best selling bike over 500cc. The thing has a cult following. The Paris Dakar's just finished. Now, I can't give you desert, I can't give you sand dunes, but Late Break Show viewers, I give you this. Check that out. How beautiful is this? Now, going back to the Dakar, it's just finished, and the Dakar inspired a whole new genre of motorcycle riding. Basically, these big enduro type bikes. Now you start to see more and more of them, and for me the BMW R1250 has always been the daddy. It's always been the one, if you know what I mean, the reference. That sounds really biased, I know. However, I just think back to the late 80s, you know, when you saw these Boxer twins flying across the sand dunes and what have you, you know, winning Dakar races. Just so cool. Now the motorcycle manufacturers, they took to that Dakar rally so much so that actually Yamaha have named one of their bikes after a region in the Dakar desert, in the Sahara Desert actually, called the Tenere Desert. Honda, for instance, they've named a bike called the Africa Twin off the back of the Dakar rally. So, you know, these bikes, they mean a lot to the manufacturers. But like I said, for me, this was the one that I wanted to ride. There's not many things that would get me out of bed on a January morning, motorcycle wise, and make me want to go and ride a bike. But look at the scenery. It couldn't be a better place to come and ride something like this. Now there's two other models that we're going to be riding. This BMW R1250 GS, this is the TE edition as well. This is the all bells and whistles full daddy-o one. £19,990. I think this rally option paint scheme's another £350 on top of that. But 1250cc boxer engine. It is absolutely as smooth as silk, to a point where at times you can't even feel the, you know, using the throttle, or you know, it just almost feels electric. It's so nice to ride. Oh, we got some spectators. Hello, can I come through? Come on, move it. There you go. Anyone think you own the place? We are in Wales after all. Now this TE edition of the bike, 30 litre fuel tank. Can you imagine how far you could cover distance wise? Just makes you want to get on the thing. I've got the heated grips on, I've got the heated seat on. You could ride the thing to the moon and back. It's so comfortable. But I have a criticism. I've picked up on a criticism very early. There's so much wind noise, or so much noise that comes from down inside the front fork there. I'm really not too sure what the problem is, but it isn't something that makes me think, oh yeah, this is nice. It's like the wind gets up inside the fairing or something, or it's coming through some of those little gaps, or it's doing something that's just really quite annoying. But anyway, like I said, this for me is the reference. This is the one that, you know, all the other manufacturers need to stack up against. This thing comes loaded, absolutely loaded with spec. I mentioned earlier on heated seats, heated grips, both of them 5 stages. So now we're back to the main-ish road. I'll pull away. We got gear shift assist pro on this bike, which means it's got a quick shifter on the way up, as you can hear, and it's also got an auto blipper on the way down. We've got dynamic pro mode on this bike, which means that it actually lets the front wheel lift a certain amount, yeah, so you can wheel it when you're riding off-road over the top of obstacles and stuff, even whilst the traction control's still on. Now, another thing about these bikes is, think about where we are right now. Think about the kind of road we're riding on. Think about the temperature. Look at the conditions. It's wet, it's cold, not exactly motorcycling weather, is it? But these style of bikes, these big rally touring bikes, they're like the Swiss Army knife, you know. This thing will do 130 miles an hour. It's like 135, I think, or 136 horsepower, 130 miles an hour. You know, it will go anywhere. It will go on road, it will go off road. You know, there's just nothing you can't do on the thing. And you know, from an inspiring kind of confidence point of view, you know, I feel fairly happy just kind of rolling around here, even though it's cold and wet. You know, I don't feel like, oh, better be careful into this corner, or better not do this, or better not do that. It just feels like fun, you know. It feels like you just want to get on it, you want to go riding, you want to enjoy it. Be nice if we could get a tiny bit of clear road to have a little bit of a play, but then to be fair, with roads as twisty as this, what are you going to do apart from end up down a fair old drop down there? You wouldn't want to go off the edge of there, would you? Let's have a little overtake here. Must remember not to keep referencing the scenery, even though it is really beautiful. Look at that. what did they tell me? Don't reference the scenery. You cannot see that little reservoir there. Open the taps a little bit. The gear shift assist kicking in really nicely there, and the quick shift's really smooth. Wind her up a little bit. I actually feel really calm, really relaxed. I feel really happy, and there's a reason for that. This bike just feels so smooth to ride, so effortless to ride. You know, it's a big motorcycle, make no mistake. You know, sat on it, it's like driving a car, or riding a car should I say. Feels really big, but at the same time it feels really manageable. We're nearly back at our rendezvous point now, so what I'm going to do is jump on something else, have another little ride, compare this BMW R1250 GS TE to the other bikes we got here, and then we'll try and make a little bit of a conclusion a bit later on as to which one I like the best. Take a look at this, the all-new Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Explorer. At 19,495 it's not a lot cheaper than the BMW, but its 1160cc triple delivers 150 PS and 137 miles an hour, making it the most powerful and the fastest on test. Now this is the version that's more off-road focused. It features a 21-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear and a 30-litre fuel tank. It's 25 kilograms lighter than its predecessor and 17 kilos lighter than the closest shaft drive competition. This bike features Brembo Stylema brake calipers with cornering ABS and advanced Showa semi-active suspension. It has an adjustable seat height and comes included with a tech pack which gives you everything from blind spot radar system to a 7-inch TFT screen, cornering traction control, riding modes, keyless ignition, shift assist, the list goes on and on. New styling and new colours plus a massive accessory range make this a pretty special bike. This bike in this spec comes in at £19,495, so very similar to the BMW, to be fair. Although the Triumph 1200 triple, 1160cc triple, should I say, delivers 150 PS, so quite a lot more powerful than the BMW. I did say earlier on that I thought two bikes were quite comparable in terms of price and power and whatever else, but another 15 or so horsepower coming out of the Triumph. Got to say, first impressions are that the seat and the seating position is really comfortable, even compared to the BMW. I do have, due to the temperature, I do have the heated seat and the heated grips on, but they don't seem to be anywhere as effective just yet as the BMWs, although we can't really, you know, base our recommendations or thoughts on whether or not the heated grips and heated seat work that well, can we? That wouldn't be right. The handlebars just feel a little bit stretched out, and one thing I noticed on this bike, the Rally Explorer spec bike, is that it has what look much more like off-roady kind of enduro-ish tyres, if you know what I mean. The BMW had much more conventional road tyres on, and this bike does feel straight away in these you know, cold wet conditions, does feel a lot more sort of floaty on the road. Like you don't want to you don't particularly want to commit to anything, so gentle riding is definitely of the order. That said, maybe when we get a bit of temperature in them, if we get a bit of temperature in them, to be fair, in these conditions, it'll come to me a little bit. But yeah, first initial feeling is that, you know, the Triumph from a steering point of view and you know, from a contact point of view on these slippery roads just feels, yeah, a little bit more vague, a little bit less sure-footed, should we say, compared to the BMW. One thing I am liking straight away is the engine. A nice clean connection. You know, mapping's really nice. Pottering along here in 4th gear. This new model, the 22 version, I think this is a 23 obviously, but has a significant 25 kilogram weight saving over its predecessor, which is a fair old chunk, isn't it, to be honest. I'm liking the big display. On the BMW earlier on, there was a separate sat nav just on top actually of the display panel, and the Triumph at the moment, all I can see is a big old rev counter, speedo. You can see I've got my heated grips and my heated seat on. You can connect these bikes you know, to your phone via a My Triumph app, I think. Yeah, all sorts of stuff you can do with them. This bike is loaded actually with a tech pack, and the tech pack includes all sorts of things, including blind spot radar assist, obviously the 7-inch TFT colour display screen. Just looks right, you know, looks good. 6 riding modes on the Triumph, as there are on the BMW, to be fair. You've got advanced Showa semi-active suspension on it as well, so you can play about with things and it works for you. I don't know how much you're getting to see of the of the scenery, because I'm sure my drivel about this bike is not that exciting, but what a place to come and ride. Keyless ignition is another thing that comes on this Triumph. Shift assist for quick shifter and whatever, heated and seated grips, adaptive headlights, so plenty of tech for your money. Only thing that I question a tiny bit, I mean, whilst it's as I said, about 15 horsepower more than the BMW, I question whether or not you would want to pay almost exactly the same amount of money for the Triumph that the BMW itself costs. That said, I don't seem to be getting all of that wind noise. There's actually 5 or 6 different models of the 1200 rally bike, all sorts of different specs and whatever else. Some of them are a bit more road focused, some are a bit more off-road focused, but this is the Granddaddy-O top version. This Triumph comes with the new Brembo Stylema brakes. Obviously they are sort of MotoGP derived, and they have cornering ABS as well. Stylema was something, a material once used, you know, in superbikes, MotoGP and whatever else, and kind of found its way down because of its ability to maintain and dissipate heat at the same time. I'd say that the brakes on this actually feel a little bit nicer than the BMWs, and you know, I openly admitted that I kind of came into this thinking that the BMW was going to be the bike to beat, because basically it's the one that I recall the longest, and everybody else has been trying to you know, to sort of catch up ever since. But the brakes on this bike are definitely better than or better feel, should I say, than the brakes on the BMW motorbike. Every time I got on a bike, there was a stopwatch on me, or there was a camera on me, or there was a, you know, a rival trying to keep up with me, or there was a timesheet that needed to be topped, or there was a race that needed to be won. And because of that, the actual enjoyment of just riding a motorcycle wasn't there. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore racing motorbikes, right? I love racing motorbikes, but when I used to go for a ride on the road, you know, if Ducati, for instance, or whoever would lend me a bike, I'd always ask for something that wasn't a sports bike, because to be quite frank, where I'm riding right now, I couldn't think of anything worse than being on a sports bike and, you know, something dead stiff and rigid, and, you know, not being able to get any heat into the tyres, and the thing feeling absolutely awful. It'd just be terrible. But I feel compelled to just, you know, enjoy the ride at the moment. I've warmed to the Triumph now. I actually quite like it. Didn't get a chance to open it up, but then, to be fair, you'll forgive me for that on damp roads that I don't know. But back at the rendezvous point for now. One more bike to try, and then we'll try to come to some sort of conclusion as to which one I've enjoyed the most. But yep, the Triumph, I've warmed to her.
Starting at just £13,049, the Honda CRF 1100L Africa Twin is actually the cheapest bike here. Now, its 1084cc parallel twin engine produces just 100.6 brake horsepower, which actually means it's the least powerful too. However, it will still top out at 130 miles an hour. The frame and the swing arm are derived from the CRF 450 MX bike, and that's the base of their Dakar bike too. So this bike really means business, not just from a chassis point of view, but from its aggressive rally design too. It features a 6-axis IMU and 7 levels of traction control, with 3 levels of wheelie control alone, and cornering ABS too. It has 4 riding modes: urban, tour, gravel and off-road, and this one features the fully automatic DCT gearbox.
Like I said, there's a reason I left this till last, because this is a DTC version of said bike, which means, in theory, it's all fully automatic. So I wanted to ride the BMW first, because the BMW was the bike that that I saw as, I don't know, the reference bike, if you like. And I rode the Triumph afterwards, really enjoyed the Triumph too.
But this CRF 1100 is actually brand fire new. Not as in a new model or a new anything, as in it has done 1 mile or something like that. So Honda have delivered us a brand new bike at really short notice, which is super kind of them. But with brand new bikes come brand new tyres. So brand new tyres on damp roads that I don't know should be really good fun. But so far so good. Now, one of the things that's really surprised me already, bearing in mind we've only ridden probably less than a mile, is just how smooth this thing is. I feel super comfy, riding position's really nice, bike feels quite a lot lighter and not as cumbersome as the other two. But to be fair, this version of the bike is basically derived, chassis and swing arm wise anyway, from the Honda CRF 450, which is the bike, you know, we keep going back to the Dakar Rally, but basically the bike that won the Dakar Rally is a CRF 450, and the chassis and the geometry settings, if you like, from that bike are used to make this CRF 1100L. Now, this bike is quite a lot less powerful than the other two. The CRF 1100L comes in, believe it or not, at just 100 horsepower, and that doesn't sound like a lot at all, does it, coupled with a semi-electronic gearbox. But so far he says, bearing in mind I've done about 2 miles, it seems kind of irrelevant. It feels really smooth. It's a parallel twin, makes quite a nice noise. This one's actually got the SC sports exhaust on it, and the SC sports exhaust has a valve in it apparently that when you open the throttle, it will open a valve in the exhaust, and away you go. You've got buttons, 2 buttons on the left-hand control, which I have to say looks like something you would be able to launch a spaceship with. There's so many buttons on there. But you've got some manual shifters, so you can put it in normal ride mode, or you can put it in sport mode, or you can ride this bike in fully manual and just use the 2 buttons to flick backwards and forwards between the gears. So we're going to start off riding out with the bike in fully auto, and it couldn't be any more relaxed and serene than it possibly is. Really, really nice to ride, really smooth. You know, you can feel the engine, not lumpy, but you can feel it kind of burbling away beneath you, which is nice. There's a 6-axis IMU on this bike, which measures all sorts of things. Obviously you'll have like cornering ABS and stuff like that, which is cool. 7 levels of traction control, and ironically enough 3 levels of wheelie control, so you can alter how much you want the thing to be able to wheelie. So you can go from a little wheelie to a bigger wheelie to an even bigger wheelie, I would imagine. All sorts of user rider modes. There's 4 actually. Urban, touring, what else is there? There's gravel, there's off-road modes, so plenty to sort of flick through. We've actually customed this. I'm in what's called user mode 1. The guy that dropped the bike for me and kind of explained a few bits and pieces about it today sort of set it up kind of how I wanted it, and it feels really nice. It feels really smooth. I really like the styling of this bike. It looks, how can I say, it looks purposeful. It looks like it means business. Being a Honda, obviously the build quality is absolutely second to none. That's not to say that the build quality on either of the other two were bad, because they weren't. They're both beautiful bikes. It's going to be interesting when we get to wind the wick up a tiny bit in a second to see how that lack of horsepower affects the bike. This bike's got the full pannier set on it as well, so I've got a top box on the back of me and two side panniers as well. So now we're in full manual mode, so the bike's in 4th gear. I'm quite curious to see actually what would happen if I came to a standstill, see whether or not it would change itself back to first, ready to pull away again. I feel like I'm doing a really good job this time of not talking about the scenery. Another slightly different route. Really enjoyed my riding today. I love all of the technology that's come into motorbikes, and I think that, to be fair,
you know, certain types of bikes nowadays, you look at sports bikes, your V4R Ducatis, 240 odd horsepower on the road if you need it, not that you do. You know, S1000 BMW R 220 odd horsepower or whatever. You know, there's absolutely no argument for the fact that those bikes need all of the electronic assistance that you know, that they come with nowadays. But you know, when you're talking about different types of bikes, you know, do they need so much electronics? Well, it's a very good question, isn't it? But I've got to say that just sitting here and, you know, flicking a button here and there just to change gear, and it being as smooth as it is just unbelievable. Now, built for purpose, like I said, you know, this thing is a little bit more off-road focused, nowhere near as powerful as the other two, but there's a reason for that, because the thing works off-road. You know, if you want to see something impressive, if you want to see how good this bike is, take nothing away from the rider, but Google 32-time world champion Tony Bow, Toni-Bou, on an Africa Twin, and the stuff he can do on these things is absolutely unbelievable. I certainly won't be trying to attempt any of that myself. There's definitely not the power that you feel in the BMW or the Triumph. Obviously, as I said earlier on, the Triumph is the most powerful bike here, 150 PS. This parallel twin 100 horsepower CRF 1100 doesn't feel anywhere near as fast. But is that an issue? Are you buying one of these because you want to go and ride at 130 miles an hour, or you want to sort of blast along these little lanes that I'm riding along? You know, this feels perfectly sufficient, to be fair. You know, from a steering point of view, from a feeling point of view, from a turning point of view, from, you know, feeling confidence and whatever else, bearing in mind we're on brand new tyres, I'm very pleasantly surprised by this Africa Twin. This feels much more fun, much more agile. The BMW feels very purposeful, feels like it's made to, you know, to cruise along, to eat miles. You know, if the BMW was a car, it would be a Bentley Continental GT that you'd cruise across Europe on, whereas, and you take the motorway as well, you know, you wouldn't take any little A roads, whereas maybe the Africa Twin, you know, you might not get there quite so quickly, and you might have to take a slightly unbeaten track to get there, but I think you'd have a little bit more fun in doing so. So, come on, are you as surprised as I am that the bike right behind me, the Honda CRF 1100L, is the bike that I've chosen as the winner today? Leave me a comment below so that I can have a look and see what you think. I'll tell you why I've done it though, right? I'm not going to try and pretend that I didn't want the BMW R1250 GS to be the daddy bike that I thought it was. It is, right? Make no mistake, it is a fantastic bike, but for some reason our bike today just has a lot of wind noise, and I can't get my head past that wind noise. It's the only thing that's wrong with the bike. The riding position, the power, the engine, the thing's so smooth it's almost electric. Then you've got the Triumph. The Tiger 1200 was absolutely unbelievable. I'll be perfectly honest with you, when I jumped on the Honda, I felt at home straight away, and I mean immediately. This bike behind me was brand new. It had brand new engine, brand new tyre. It was a brand new bike, done 5 miles, and I got on it and couldn't have felt more comfortable straight away. Now the Triumph, by contrast, was the complete opposite. When I first got on it, I thought, oh, I don't know if it's the suspension, I don't know if it's the engine, I don't know if it's the chassis, I don't know if it's the more off-road focused tyres, but I just couldn't get my head around what I was feeling on roads that didn't particularly inspire me with confidence. They were wet, they were slippery. But over the course of the day, and over the course of the time that I've ridden the Triumph, it's really grown on me. I just cannot look past the Honda though. How can you look past something that you jump on, brand spanking new, instills you with confidence? It's like the adolescent child of the other two. It's just so much fun to be on. And let's be honest, right? Who needs 150 horsepower on an off-road supposed Dakar inspired bike? You know, this thing has 100 horsepower, parallel twin, fantastic to ride, lovely smooth engine. The BMW 135 horsepower, again, silky smooth. The Triumph, the most powerful of the lot, great engine, loads of feel, loads of torque. But do we need to be riding at 130 or 140 miles an hour on adventure bikes? I don't think we do. Now, we've made a reference to the fact there's no KTM here. We've made a reference to the fact there's no Ducati Multistrada. There's no Harley Davidson Pan American. I couldn't get them, right? I would have had all of them here. I've had such a great day here in Snowdonia riding these bikes that I would have loved to have rode for another 2 days. I never thought I'd hear myself say that in January, but here we are. Here's the winner. I'm Shane Shakey Byrne. This was the Byrne Out on the Late Break Show. It's proudly supported by EBC Brakes, and if you've enjoyed it, why not become a Patreon member? If you do, you get early access to some content, you get exclusive access to others. Get on the Late Break Show's website and buy yourself some merchandise. There's plenty on there. Get on there, have a look, get subscribed, get likes, leave me some comments, and maybe we'll try and get those other bikes in an episode coming soon.